Hi, this is Joe again with another movie review, and this time what we're going to be doing, since recently, the two main stars of this movie series recently just got divorced, so I figured what could be more appropriate than talking about that movie series, and that is of course the Crocodile Dundee series, starring of course Paul Hogan and Linda Kozlowski. And this is the video for the first film, which came out in 1986. And actually was starred and written by Paul Hogan, because this is like before the Crocodile Hunter. This is before that, and so it's actually, like I said, stars Paul Hogan as the title character, and it also stars Linda Kozlowski in her movie debut as a reporter for New York Newsday. Who was in Australia. She didn't have a story, and then she convinced her editor that she wanted to do another story, and it's about Crocodile Dundee. And the story was that he was out fishing. Remember, allegedly he had his leg bit off by a crocodile, and he goes on him to get out of the bush, goes home, really, and he survives. So she wanted to interview this guy and get his story. So she travels through this town called Walkabout Creek. I don't know if it's the actual town in Australia, I don't know. She meets Dundee's business partner. They're all going to meet him tonight. He's going to be in town. So he comes to the local bar. This is pretty much what's there, really. The hotel and the bar, maybe a couple of houses. And that's pretty much the whole town. So he does meet Dundee, played by Paul Hogan. It's like almost an instant attraction there. And in real life, they did actually get married about like a few years later. About like three or 4 years later, they do get married in real life. This is when they met and they fell in love with in reality, knowing that the movie series, but in reality as well. And of course, they go to the spot where Dundee was attacked by the crocodile, and so he didn't lose his leg. He has like this big score on his leg where the crocodile got him. But he managed to drag out from where he lived, and how he happened to survive the crocodile attack. And what the crocodile was trying to do was he grabbed him and dragged him under the water. And then meanwhile the crocodile let go, and at that point, that's when he killed the crocodile. And then after that, when they also met some aborigines, plus some kangaroo killers or hunters, try and kill all these kangaroos. And after all these little adventures out in the bush, Sue Charlton, who played with Linda Kozlowski, says, "I got an idea. Why don't you come into New York with me?" And he says, "What for?" It's a great idea of you in New York City. So she convinced him to come to New York. And of course, the funniest scene in the movie for me is the scene when he's on the airplane. He's never been on an airplane before, and as soon as the plane takes off, he yells out, "Jesus!" in a real comedic, funny way. So they're in New York, and because for those who don't know New York City, the character stays in the Plaza Hotel. But after that, he explores New York City. The zoo shows him around, so we go to Times Square, go on top of one of the buildings in New York. It wasn't the Empire State Building or the Five-Star Building. I'm not sure which one it was. But it goes to the top of one of the buildings in New York City, and it's like pictures there, and they go, for some reason they shoot in Central Park. Because every movie in New York City has seen in Central Park. But not this one. And they go in the village, they go go over the Brooklyn Bridge. Of course, the iconic scene is, of course, the scene with the knife when they get mugged, and the mugger had like a switchblade. And of course, Sue says to him, "Man, give me your money." "Yeah, what for?" "You got a knife." "Oh, that's not a knife." And pulls out his 6-inch blade. Of course, that's a knife. And he cuts up his jacket. And of course, the mugger runs off. And that's, of course, the catchphrase of the movie, "Good day, mate," but that's a knife. And also look for Rachel Bell Johnson, who played on Family Matters a chauffeur in the film. And of course, the other funny scene, that's real funny scene in the film for me, is the scene where they go to a dinner party at Sue's father's house out on Long Island. And of course, they had two Doberman pinchers, on the property, as guard dogs. And of course, Dundee does this little thing, hypnotizes the dogs, and now the dogs like him. The chauffeur, and they say to Rachel about that, says, "Hey, okay, great, the dogs are cooled out." He walks around the limo, in front of the door, and the dog goes bow down. And goes, "Okay," and he turns back around. To me, they got a huge laugh. But not going to give away what happens at the end of the film. And of course, they get together at the end of the movie. And of course, 2 years. The movie was so successful. It was the highest grossing comedy in 1986. It took a typical fish out of water story in that film and became pretty successful. And that's one of the 2 films. It took that concept and became a big hit for Paramount. Crocodile Dundee was one. The other one was Star Trek 4, which came out later on in the year. And of course, since the movie was successful, of course, they had to come out with a sequel. This came out 2 years later, in 1988, and this time Dundee battles a drug dealer because Sue's ex-husband was working with the DEA, the Drug Enforcement Administration, to get pictures and information about this big-time drug dealer named Rico. And so he does that and goes back to his hotel in Colombia, calls the feds, and after he calls the feds, the drug dealers tracked him down and they killed him. But before then, he sent his film to Sue. So of course, the drug dealers knew where she was, and they kidnapped her. So Dundee goes in and rescues her, and from that house in Long Island. And then of course, they were under police protection because they figured the Rico's going to come after him, which of course he does. So what Dundee decides to do is that kind of like why they find out where they're coming, so I can go after them, and so that way we won't have to hide. And we go after, so that I will know where they're coming. So the DEA guy says, "Okay, what do you got in mind?" And it goes back to Australia, and the rest of the movie is in Australia. So it's kind of like the opposite of the first movie, when we were first in Australia, then in New York. This time first we were in New York, then in Australia. And then, of course, the drug dealer does come after him with his henchmen. We're after Dundee. Of course, we know what happens at the end. Dundee wins. At the end, and the main drug dealer dies at the end of the film. And of course, they don't give it that away. But the second movie was not as good or as funny as the first movie, because the second movie took a much serious tone in the second movie. And of course, for some reason, right away they didn't make a third movie right away. It took roughly about like 12 or 13 years to make another one, and it came out in 2001 called Crocodile Dundee in Los Angeles, where Sue does the story in LA. So it was for a father, which we never see again in any of the other movies, and so Dundee goes along with it. But this time, the two of them having to have a kid together. In between the last movie and this one, they having to have a son together. And of course, they still weren't married. Of course, Sue was upset that they weren't married and all that type of thing. And of course, remember at the end of this film, they do get married in the film. And now, unfortunately, found out just last week that they got divorced in Australia, which is one of the biggest divorce breakups in Australian history. Because Paul Hogan is such a huge figure in Australia, bigger than the other crocodile hunter, Steve Irwin, the crocodile hunter, because Dundee is the original guy. So please check out these movies if you never seen them, especially the first one, because the first one is such an iconic, classic movie, and the second one wasn't great either, but at least it was, it had a story you can follow it, and it's, alright. But the first one was the best, obviously the best one out of the 3 films, and the third one is a waste. It's a waste of time to see. So thank you for watching the videos. Like the video, please like the video, comment on, subscribe to my page, and we'll catch you next time.